Alright, sorry for the delay. OBS or something crashed on me, and I think I ended up with like a 5-second stream. Okay. So, we are going to pick up where we left off. We are, although I guess we're still... Actually, I did get everything pretty much working from Monday. I'm working on a few little bugs with that, but we should be able to finish that up in the next 15 minutes, I think. And then I want to try to redo how we do chunking. Now that we have actual line level detection, we should be able to do smarter chunking, which should then cut our OCR time in half, and I think that will help things quite a bit. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, is improving that. So where we were, let's see, what did I just run? So if we look at the test results, I can bring this over. From the last run, how is this looking? So there's the lines detected. There is clustering of lines, bringing in extra lines. That looks good for this page. That looks great with the titles and everything. And then obviously I'll filter out this. So you can see now I'm just getting a mask of the things that matter. But I do want to like filter that out, but we'll get to that in a second. So now we can do, let's run our other test that has been a little bit annoying lately. So I might be done with all the bugs then. Yeah, so this one, we still get a little bit of garbage here at the bottom, but I think that's going to have to be okay. Yeah, that looks fine. So here, yeah, I think we're just going to be okay with that. This is also one of the test scenarios that I don't think the current app would accept, because I think we would say it's not flat enough maybe right now. Although this one performs reasonably well. Okay, so that one's fine. At least acceptable, I think. And then if we look at, we'll run the left test scenario. And how does that look? That one, I mean, this one always looks really good. So the pages are nice and flat. We're getting everything. We're getting the page numbers. We're getting the titles. Beautiful. Couldn't ask for more. Is that all of our test scenarios? So that is shaky, new chapter, and left and right. Let's run angled. Let's see how this one looks. Right, so for this one, we want to ignore this garbage. And I think we do. Yeah, I think we do a good job of getting this isolated by itself. This, we've got some garbage down here on the right, which we treat as separate. We cluster those separately. But I think that's okay. Again, this is a test scenario that shouldn't happen too often. All right, so I'm happy enough with this. Let's first off commit. Let me do a quick git diff just to make sure there's no garbage in here that I didn't like. All right, so that's binary file changes, new function for debugging, new function for checking whether or not a line belongs within a cluster. We move some of that logic out, right? Yeah, move some logic around. Min lines in cluster, we switched from 4 to 4 from 2. Cool. All right, so I'm just gonna, I think this is good. So we'll add all those files. Everything seems to work well. We'll put it there like that. Now, again, it's just for those test scenarios. It's possible. Well, I don't know. I think if these test scenarios all look good, then the odds of it performing poorly later are much lower. Oh, interesting. I like color coded them. That's line clustering. More line clustering. Okay, so these later steps I haven't looked at recently. And this is saying that's what the valid text is there. Which is, this should not be it. Right, this is what I gotta fix now. So I gotta move on to the next step and get these things working better. All right, so that's pushed up. Let me drag this off here. So, we're not scaling. I mean, I could clean up some of this code now. But what do I really need to do? I have some notes here, but really what we're saying is so I had some notes here on like how to do this. So we can count the number of lines, count line size and distance to next line, start or end of line too close to border, fail early for these metrics. This is really the thing I need to do, I think. Rotate while maintaining reference to location of line gaps. Or just recompute. Probably just recompute. But if we look at this, I guess let's look at this last test scenario. So if we go back, so these are the edges. Yeah, template frame. Those are the edges computed. Those are the lines, the horizontal masked lines. And we colorize them. And then we detect on this. So now what I would say is like, I think I need to get the biggest bounding box. Because we may or may not care about the second. Like the biggest one would be this. We may or may not care about the second one. So actually, here's what I want to do. Let's take a step back for a second and make sure we're not losing our way. See, this is like the get best page, where we are checking for size and flatness. And what did we do? We did a min area rect. Let me think. Rectangularity. So we get our area and we divide it by the min area rect. Yeah, I guess it's like how close to looking like a rectangle is it? Does it mostly look like a rectangle? How are we doing this before? Also, let me make sure I'm not losing any steps here. So if I take that, so this is the old one. We grayscaled it. Computer to gradient magnitude. Block scoring. So we did the block detection. Then we filter out isolated blocks, going by like blocks that are near. Basically, a block being high contrast. This is the old approach that I'm throwing away right now. Yeah, so a block is something that has a high contrast, meaning it could look like text, something that looks like text. And then we only care about ones that have like neighbors near them that also are high contrast. We then remove the noise, connected components to get the blocks, And then we just keep the 2 largest clusters. Sort them left to right. Oh, interesting. Right. So I guess one problem I never really thought about is the blank page problem. So we can't always assume that there are 2 blocks of text. We may be starting a new chapter, and there may be a blank page on the left, let's say. And on the right is the new chapter. How would we know that's the right page? See, this is why I had previously tried, when I first started this current effort, I was trying to go down the road of, can we detect pages instead of text? And then I ended up going down the sparse text route. I suppose I could do book. I keep thinking I'd probably need to do some form of book detection anyway. So I could put this off as a problem for another day and say that I need to do some sort of book detection. Probably the best way to do that is probably something like a YOLO V8. Is that this task? Let's see here. Maybe it's this one. But yeah, using something like a vision model that's trained on like what a book actually looks like. Because the problem with the sparse text approach is if we do have... So this is solved now. This, with my current approach here, this is solved. And I guess like the small page problem is also solved. So like this works fine. If we go back to... something like this, like that's solved. We're now getting like the titles and pages that are small. We get those too. So that should be okay. I guess if we go off of largest, we would pick this one. My thought was you go off of largest and you say, hey, let's also include... I mean, I guess you could do second largest. But it would almost be like second largest block that we've detected that is of similar width to the first, which in this case would get us the left one here. And in this case, we would probably ditch this. We would say, that's not wide enough. That's not wide enough. Therefore, we only care about this. But I guess an argument could be made for maybe you take the 2 biggest area-wise. And then whether or not we OCR the second one, or like when we're determining which page it is. Yeah, okay. Let me do that for now. Let's pretend that there is no blank page problem. But I need to put a finer point on this. So let me think about this. I'm going to rename this to... Here, let me grab this. Bring this down here. We'll make this a title. And I'm going to change this to book object detection. So probably need to use something like YOLO V8 to detect a book, and ideally know roughly where page 1 and page 2 are. Bonus points if we can detect and store page flatness, rectangularity, etc. This is really to solve a few main problems. So, problem number one that this solves is actually knowing where the book is at any given moment and probably rendering a like shadow book in space so the user can more easily be aware of where the book actually is. This is a problem I have right now when I'm actually testing the app, is when I first hold up the book and scan it, that's fine. But the second I go into the VR world and I'm like experiencing the book from that angle, the book becomes this like hidden thing that I don't really know where it is. Like my hands know where it is, it's holding onto it. But if I put the book down for a second, you know, or for anything, like all of a sudden now, like I'm flying blind. And when you want to scan the next page, it's like the digital book isn't actually going to really well align. Let's see. Let me go forward here. So we got this here, and if I jump forward just a bit, like this digital copy doesn't line up well with the real copy. And so when you're trying to then scan the next page, it's kind of hard to know implicitly where it is. And so it just feels, I'm trying to follow the fun and trying to make the experience more enjoyable. And so I think I need to provide some sort of like shadow book. Oops. I want to highlight this. Let's go bold. Let's go with that. Called a shadow book. So that's important. The other piece being, if the left page is blank, we currently would assume that the one page, that the right page is the left page when OCR is finished. We need a way, a better way than what we're doing today, to know that it's actually the right page. If that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this on the back burner. I'm not gonna do much with it today. What I probably will do is keep the code as we have it today. I've solved the title issues. I can improve chunking and then solve these other problems later. But I think what we do is, we still take the two largest that we find. We still make sure they're ordered left to right. And then we're still just picking one to OCR. I think that's true. And I think we switch to like rectangularity only to determine that. Okay, so here we have, so we keep the two largest. This is the old logic. Sort them left to right. And then we compute a hull, a convex hull around them. And that's it. I think then what ends up happening is, when we say we're going to process the page, we actually crop them based on that rectangle, based on the page shape. Then we merge them, the images, to get a better, higher quality image. We enhance the contrast and sharpen them. We do a little bit of rescaling. Crop with margins. Don't we rotate? Where's the rotate? Hold on. It's got to be during the... It has to be during this process. Because we're literally just... We're straight up cropping. We're merging them. I wonder if merge frames... We order them by difference. We'll do alignment. And then we average the frames. It's possible averaging frames. No, that's not it. Maybe enhance contrast and sharpening is where we rotate them. Nope. What about rescaling? Alright, I must be freaking blind. Let's see here. Let's turn this back on. Turn that off. And we know one of them is worse than the others, right? That is... Well, actually... A great example is probably this angled one, right? Yeah, so this angled one... If I run this now, I should see what step we do that currently. Yeah, if two largest blocks are on top of each other, merge them as one. I don't need to do that anymore. Two largest blocks should be roughly the same width. That's kind of not true. This is interesting. All right, okay, that finished. Let's see what the result was. All right. So this is the old method. Ooh. No, thank you. Get out of the way. All right, so we do block detection of the text. We filter out the noise. We get a hull around things. Found both pages. Deskew and crop. Where is deskew and crop? So that's convex hull. Deskew and crop. Like, where am I? Huh? Oh, must be the... I knew it was hiding somewhere. I should make this an explicit step so I don't have to see it anymore. Okay, so when we do the cropping, we get our min area rect based on the hull. We get our padding to our rect. We compute a rotation matrix. We rotate the image. And then we crop. Okay, maybe I should rename this to rotate crop. All right, so it was in the process page. So how are we doing that? We are passing in the page shape for everything. Right, so we're redoing, okay, so I could, not that this is going to save any real time, but like this step we are redoing every single time. And then we're recomputing this every time, we're recomputing that every time. This if check we're doing every single time. Padding size also. Like literally all these steps. None of this needs to happen more than once. Like where are we even using the image? Here. So we get the rotation matrix. Okay, so I could pull this out into its own function to get the rotation matrix. Okay, but that all is going to happen. Okay, I might have to completely blow up the order of operations here. So assuming we go with the new method. Okay, maybe I should take this one step at a time. Yeah, I do slightly worry that this is going to be a harder effort. All right, let me think while I drink. Extend the Y, both blocks to match each other, so same height. Yeah, I don't need to do that. Yeah, I'll still revisit these thoughts, but... All right, so what I have here is... All right, so there's this one. There's this new one that can be deleted. This is the old one. So we did connected components. We keep the two largest. I should go up higher here. Because here, like, we only care up until... If I go back a step here... Where's my folder? So this is good, good, good. And then technically, like right here, right after this, like all this stuff is kind of possibly not needed. All right, yeah, we got to redo some of that. All right, fair enough. So we're talking about, yeah, like the final, this is good. This merging step was a nice idea, but I don't need to do it. Here, I've already committed it, so I can easily get it back. Let's start gutting things. So what I need to do here is let's maybe put our like to do here. So what we need to do is only get the page-like clusters. Cool. Now these other steps aren't too bad, actually. So if we got rid of like if we got rid of this and we kept these other ones, you know, we probably would, in this case, we'd probably get rid of this, which is fine. Yeah, we would have just a mask of these two things. See, this though ends up merging them. I don't know if I need to do that. Filter out long and short lines. No, we're not doing that. Yeah, kill our darlings. Let's go. Visualize valid lines with bounding boxes. I don't know why we need to do that. Well, I mean, that shouldn't matter anymore. Group lines into vertical clusters. Okay, so this is that step I was talking about before, which I guess doesn't need to matter anymore. Okay, so I had this, but I guess it wasn't really important. Okay, I don't think we need to do this anymore. So this is what, okay, so what this ends up doing then is we have this, and in fact we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 clusters, and this one down here normally would get thrown away. But in this case we end up clustering it in with yellow because we say that they all belong together. I don't think we need to do that anymore. I'm going to comment this out. But that still might be useful. Oh, right, clusters. So this is where we're getting into like all the stuff that we did later that shouldn't matter anymore. So once we've done that, visualize the cluster. Here, let me do. Didn't ask you to do that. There you go. Cool. Analyze and filter clusters. Filter by spacing constraint. I don't think any of this is needed. Scale back up. We don't need to scale back. All right, let's just gut this. This we'll keep just in case because I do like this idea. And it worked. Definitely works. So what we're saying is, again, I do want to like, I kind of want to say like, like we have this, but I don't want this. What I want is get horizontal. What is it called? Let's do it. Let's see this here. Horizontal edges. Yeah, it's number 5, right? We'll just do for just the lines. For just in these clusters. So it's getting a mask of. And then if we go down here, the steps we're missing are, so sort those left to right. We may, okay, so we may have to keep largest 2 and sort left to right. Like, these were like somewhat hacks that I had to do previously because of weirdness with OpenCV. Because in OpenCV, for whatever reason, like, sure, keep the largest 2. If you didn't do this sorting, it would sometimes say that the one on the right was maybe... Yeah, I don't know. And in this case, we're returning vector, vector, point. Like a list of holes. Here, this is all good. This works. So let's see here. We were returning a list of hulls. I'm gonna use a lot of quotes for some reason today. That's the flavor of AI I am. Some AIs will put dashes in between everything. I wrap everything in quotes. It's a problem. All right, so we were previously returning a list of hulls. List. All right, so now we need to do pick best page by shape only. So before we were going on size and shape, now we'll just pick on shape, and that'll be it. That's how we know which one we're going to OCR. And that's easy to change for like get best page. Okay, so then this can return I mean, I guess this would then always return 1 or 2. Yeah, okay, so it's only going to return 1 or 2. We would still call get best page. If there's just only one item in the list, then we would just, again, we're just going to score it based on rectangularity. So this function becomes a lot simpler. If we then call process page, this cropping is a rotation and crop. So now we have like page shape. I guess the experiment I have to do now is after this point, after we've, this is basically taking, because we're going to have, what, like 3 images here. For each image, we rotate and crop. And then we go and merge them to get like a better image. After this point, can I still have... I guess instead of trying to pass this shit around and be optimal with it, let's be slightly hacky because it doesn't matter. Okay, no, you know what? This is simpler. Why overthink it right now? I don't need to optimize this code, especially for something that I know takes like 1/10 of a second at most. Let's do recompute. Yeah, see, I don't need to do this. After merging, rotating, and enhancing. Actually, really, it's just after merging and rotating. Use that mask to chunk. All right, that means we don't need to do this. Getting the mask. Yeah, I don't need to do that step. So then that means the things we got to do here then are only get the page-like clusters. Result should be 0 to 2 clusters in an array. We could still return hulls. Okay, so since I'm going to do this later and recompute it, I just don't need to give a shit about... Because I was worried I was going to have to completely like redo these functions and refactor all this code, and I didn't want to go down that path. So we can still just do the hull return. Right. So this is one small thing. Return a list of hulls, like before. Okay. This is starting to make sense. So what I want to do is filter out the nonsense and get a hull around this. All right, let's do that. I know what to do now. And once I get the hull back, the rest of the logic should behave just as well. We can run our test suite and make sure the scores are still good. And then this whole like recompute, like this could be its own PR after I merge this one. Okay. Let's make that a new PR. So then for this, we will confirm quality and performance. Merge PR. If I do just these things, then we will have solved the, like this quote unquote, like the sparse text problem. And then as a separate PR, I can just say, like, look, let's just recompute. Because the time it takes to recompute this is negligible, and the amount of time it will save in OCR is vast. Okay, that's clear to me now. So then this whole, like, rebuilding valid lines, none of that should matter. Okay, so what we need to do then is... Yeah, let's like start killing stuff. Sweet. This isn't needed. probably gonna hit me for that. Is it like the new one? Yeah, we got new. You're gone. We've got the line detection one, but we don't ever use block size, right? So that's gone. These ones are gone. Let's kill those off. They were from earlier experiments. Yeah. The grouping, again, I'll keep it around for the moment, but I shouldn't really need it. In fact, let's get rid of result here. We'll just keep this at the bottom of the function, even though we're not going to use it. Is debug checks, fine. Begin old logic we don't need. Okay, that log statement can go away. So this is visualizing the valid lines for the bounding box. Okay, I don't really care about that. Connected component labeling on. Okay, fine. The hulls. This is getting the hulls. So let's assume we copy that. It's operating on a cluster. A cluster is a vector of type cluster, which is basically a vector point. I don't know why I needed the struct. I think that was AI code. That was, it's some nice sugar, but it's not needed. Okay. We'll return the hulls. This, so that's filtered lines. So this is rebuilding valid lines from clustered lines only. I might not need this. Also, this like valid lines only. I don't care about that either. Oops, sorry. Right, and here's the new logic. I know it's the new logic because we have an indentation problem. Now this is using block size, but I think we can probably get rid of some of this stuff. Who are you? Okay, you can get banned. Go away. Oh, seriously? YouTube has me unlisted? Huh? Maybe that's why nobody's joining this stream right now. Oh, YouTube, you bug me sometimes. And I can't edit it in the middle of the stream? Alright, well, whatever. That's really annoying. Fine, whatever. I don't care. I mean, I care, but this stream, I guess, will just be hidden for YouTube until after the fact. Okay. So, what do I need to do here? So we have this. We basically need to say I kind of want to write the logic myself, but it'd be so much faster to have an AI write it. So what do we have here? We have the final clusters. Oh yeah, down here, didn't I have the... I had some math here, I think, for cluster size. Didn't I? Let me think. I think I deleted it. No, here we are. This is it. So we get our cluster size. So final clusters. But that's X and... Okay. Yeah. Let me think. So basically I've got... Like, you've got, like, a list here of lines. So it's, if you could think of it like, you know, each one of these, this is a list of lines, this is a list of lines, and that's a list of lines. And so then we got a list of each of these lists of lines. I guess the solution would be for each cluster, compute the hulls, you know, I guess we had logic here for this, right? To like get best page. But see, that's okay. So this is the thing, is I still need to get, I still feel like this needs to return pages, because I need to know which page it is. All right, so maybe we do this first. Hulls is a vector point. A list of points, those points being a hull, which represents the shape around a region. Okay. Thank you. I'm not actually worried. I would like to now compute a right. For each cluster of lines, what would that look like? Let's just ask it that question. Now, if I go look at the old logic, so I did sort them left to right. Let's just see what happens. See if I have a problem. Because maybe I didn't need to sort them left to right. It's possible. Yeah, so there's my hulls. Okay, yeah. So it should just be for the clusters. But this is going to be final clusters. And then we're saying that vector points all points yeah. We shouldn't have to compute anything. Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So this is where that math is a little bit different. I knew the math would be slightly different. And we'll call that a rect. There. So we're getting those points, computing those points from the rectangles. Because that's going to be a rect. Our cluster is... Let's just confirm. Yeah, it's a rect. So this needs to be a rect. Yeah. And then we're the same logic as before. We compute the convex hull. Ensure they stay within the image bound. Let's just not do that for now. And then I got a debug draw here for that. And then we return the hulls. All right, that's fine. Let's run this and see how it looks. In theory, I should be able to, like, I could almost even run the whole test suite. But I think there's going to be 1 or 2 bugs that prevent that. So, hey, let's just run the one that we have. I wonder if on Monday I also streamed without it being broadcasted. I wonder if maybe that's why nobody dipped in. And I've tried looking for like YouTube setting to like always have it public, and I can never find it. Visually, this is looking pretty good from just like the images I'm seeing. So let's take a look. So our convex hulls are that, and that. And this. There's another convex hull. So when we de-skew and crop, we end up going with this. And then we crop that way. Huh. Okay, so that worked. Let's see how left looks. This one should be clean and obvious. That's a good looking convex hull, I gotta say. As is that one. I can probably be a little tighter on the settings. Now that I'm like more exact on things. Yeah, this is looking real good. Okay, sweet. Well, you know what? Screw it. Let's just run the whole test suite and see what our scores look like. All right, so left and right scored a 98, almost a 99. Ooh, that is nice. Let me see here what we're going up against. Yeah, so that almost went up by a point. More than a point. Wow, okay, that's... Well, also... Sorry. These scores are lower because in prep for sparse text, I added headers and footers to the expected text. So all the scores went down. Let's compare it to the old just to see it. So yeah, we went up a little bit. And instead of 8 seconds, it took 3. That seems wrong to me. Maybe there's an outlier there. Shaky leg got a 3.3. Yeah, that timing's about right. 93.1, 90.95. So it went down a little bit. Where are our tests? I'm confused. Did somebody error? New chapter. Okay, new chapter I gotta look at. And then angled didn't get reported. I'm confused there. What happened there? So angled. It says 73. That's... Oh, because it picked the other page, maybe? Okay, well... Let's run new chapter and see what it does. Because in theory, that test should actually... We should be able to finally add this to the test suite. So we're here. Our holes look like that. That's a good hole. That's a good hole. Some holes there. Okay, so we picked this one. We got good alignment. Weird. We got good alignment, but I'm not seeing... I would expect... That seems wrong. I mean, I guess it is somewhat averaged. Here's our template for alignment. That would be this one. Maybe that's better? Feels like that should have gotten, like the averaging should have been better. Enhanced, rescaled, we crop it, and then we chunk. Some of that isn't great. Yeah, and this is why I'm glad I'm going to try to switch to the line-based merging. Line-based chunking, because something like this, we can't stitch it together. Like, that works fine. Actually, that one probably would go okay, but this here wouldn't. We wouldn't be able to stitch it on. We wouldn't know. We would assume it's a new page or something. Division by 0. Weird. So we had this. I guess we failed to send this to Tesseract for some reason. But okay, we have a division by 0 in the test suite. Oh, we have a bad, because we have a bad OCR chunk. Maybe that's why. All right, so test suite 158. And 158 is going to be in here. Test count is 0. Why is test count 0? It's 0 because we never log it. And we never log it because final chunk never came in. Huh. That is weird. That doesn't make any sense. So we never log the individual because we never got a final chunk. We did the chunking. Is it because of the bad OCR chunk? Oops. That is going to come from the front end. So if we get a bad OCR chunk, we cancel. And because we cancel, we never log the individual test results. Fine. And that is where we do our test count. Fine. You know what we'll do? We'll say test count equals test count or 1. So that way it's always at least 1. So now it won't fail. And now we get our 0 score. And it's failing because, again, we can't stitch them together. So that's fine. That's okay. Then when we're logging the individual test result, we're doing it on the page. Alright, I think I'll just allow this for now. Like, I don't need... Like, it would be nice to log the results of the individual page, but that's fine. If we fail... If we're failing here, maybe it is good that it fails a little louder. Alright, let's run the whole test suite again. See, this one again, it scores a 72. But why is it not being counted? It's not being counted because it failed? Is that what's up? Also, average score is 188. That is... What the hell is happening? Why is the test suite all over the place now? Didn't even touch that code. Alright, let's run angled. Let's see how this one looks, since this one's misbehaving. So this one looks like this. We'd actually rotate it pretty well. Like, that's not bad. But we end up with a score of 0. And a time of 0. I don't understand. So, what I'm going to do, just because I want to see this properly, bring up another one. All right, fine. Let's do this reading room, and then we'll do nope. We'll skip, and we'll do that. And what I'll do is I'll come over here and let's toggle back to the old version. Let's not skip. We got to rebuild, right? So, and I'll actually just say like, hey, this is the old on the left, and this is new. Yeah, I mean, all the unit tests pass. It's kind of weird why it would fail. And if we look at the old way, here, actually, let me do that. If we look at the old approach, again, blocks, we filter things out, we get a hull. In fact, I'm going to say, hold on here. Let me bring this down. Let's straight up compare these two. So that's the new convex hull. Oh, sorry, that's the old one. The new ends up looking like that. That's arguably better. Although it has, I don't know, they're both bad in different ways. The old one we cut off here, and we cut off up there. This one we don't. What is with the? Oh, because it's the rectangle. Whereas this one has the benefit of these like blocks. So this one, yeah, it'd be nice to like cut that off though. It's basically that shape because it's like this rectangle is what it's detecting. But that's fine. When we go a little further, we end up with that as our D skew. In fact, we end up with basically the same thing for both. When we tighten it up, we get to our final crop. Get old and new. So this one's got some noise at the top and the bottom, which we could crop off. I'd actually say this one rotated a little better on the left side anyway. Like that's pretty well aligned. Over here it's a little off. I guess like it's... Overall, this one's better rotated for some reason. When you consider like how flat this bottom line is, whereas this one is skewed just because of how it's being held. But either way, when we go to crop, we still end up with something like that. Which I'm going to fix this by doing like the mask thing. So the bottom one, the last one, again, basically the same. This one's got some extra noise on the right, which Tesseract probably doesn't like. And actually, probably, you know, we get some extra dot artifacts here, whereas here we don't. And that's probably going to explain why the scoring is worse on this one. But I can fix that. Again, if we do the technique that I already did, and we just only get the lines, that should improve things. So wait, this one scores a 94. This text... Yeah, again, we detect it as a title, which it's not. But otherwise, like, the text is all there. Emotions both trust. $81, $73. But why is it not getting... Why do we not have the report? Processing. Oh, we're saying it's the right page. Oh, okay. That's it. I know what the issue is. Took me a minute, but I know what the issue is. So the issue is this. Left page, right page, right page. We need to do the filtering. That's the problem. Because this should be the left page. If it was the left page, when we did, it's really a problem here. Because we're saying for this test scenario, it's angled, right? It only has a left page. So when we try to do a right lookup, it has no right in this dictionary. And so as a result, we fail. Okay, let me add something to like make that yell louder. So they're both good up until... Let's see here. So we call it for that page. That's the reference text. But I didn't see an error. That's the thing that bugs me. Well, we just don't get here, right? Because we don't get to the test report. All right, so probably I can do something like if not let's just do that. Dot get page. We'll do logger no expected result for page and we'll do page plus and if I run that now, Well, this is going to pass 120. Wait, that's... Oh. Right, that's to get the text. We just want that. But I can't skip. I gotta actually, oh no, I need to toggle it back to the new method. And not skip, but rebuild. All right, so that's fine. Now it'll at least fail louder. So we need to do the filtering out. So only get page-like clusters. And again, like it should be, for all of our test cases, there'll be 2. But I will have to handle the scenario of if there's only 1. And we don't yell. Why have we not yelled? Page is left. Really? We should be able to skip. We just don't do the test report, right? So why is this not... Do we not call this function then? Oh. Yeah. Okay, so I added a catch here already. That's dumb. Okay, fine. I can do just an else. And that's probably smarter to put it there anyway. Now if I run it, it'll be fine. There we go. No expected result for page right. Fine. And I'll leave this like that, so it fails more loudly. So that being said, I do kind of feel like it should still log it as part of the final test result. Also, again, what the hell is up with this average score? So we got the total score. Oh, because 0 is... No, wait. If I just do that, is that going to fix it? It does. Fine. If test count equals 0, test count equals 1. Let's just do that. This should have worked, the OR, but maybe it doesn't in GDScript. And let me run it again to make sure. Yeah, so then the other thing would be log individual test results. So we do... Maybe what I'll do... We'll do log failed test result. For the page? But maybe we don't need to do that. Let's just do this. We'll do that. We'll do pass. We'll log. I mean, we still have the runtime, right? We get reference text. I would kind of like to keep all this logic. Okay, what if we did... Okay, what if I did this here? So... Let's just assume that for a minute. We'll just do it every time. And then down here, I can do if that's true, we'll do those things. We will do score like that. Now if I run the whole test suite, those tests should finish and actually score zeros, which means they'll actually get added to the proper failure list. Yeah, invalid access. 139. We'll do .get on this. We'll go 100. And we'll do a .get on this one. And we'll default this to 1,000. Maybe that'll work now. Let's try again. Kind of getting distracted here with test suite fixes, but it's kind of important for me to be able to have visibility into what's going on. Again, that failed. Where did that fail? 139. Oh. Fine. So this will be a little bit ugly. So we'll have to do that, and the default response will be a dictionary. So if we get it, we get it. If we don't, we return a dictionary. And then in that dictionary, we then try to get score. And if we can't get the score, then we get the higher target. Now it should finish. There we go. And now we've got score of 0. The times are actual times. And they show up in the failures. And I don't think I got anything else. Cool. So that works. That means now I don't need this failure report. There's no need for that. No need for any logic here. Now we just handle it inside, logging it of individual test reports. This is slightly ugly, but that's okay. I'll set this to 0. Yeah, if runtime is longer than it, we fail it. If score is less than it. So 100 is like the highest you could be. This would be like taking 0 time, which is impossible. So increases the likelihood we add it to the failure test list, basically. Great. So now they're both failing. Now let's get them to pass. Now our average score is now a 47, which is appropriate because we have 4 tests now. So we've really killed it. This can go away. How am I on time? Again, I'm off the rails now. Not doing the things I wanted to be doing, but we're close though on this, I think. So let's only get the page-like objects. So those are the holes. We're returning the holes. That's fine. Do I get... When we do this, we're getting the final clusters. So this is to check all line. Okay, so for all lines, see if they belong in the cluster and then recompute the cluster. So right here, we could add a check to see if it's a good cluster. Like we could do it here. The problem would be here, let me see here. Yeah, so we are writing the number of lines. So if we did like a min line count, we could do that again. Filter out small groups. So this is line clusters. So I could just do this again. But did we have a problem with that? I don't think we can do that because if it's the end of a page, there may only be a couple lines. We may only have like 4 lines, right? So I've already kind of put my line in the sand here. Doing this again doesn't really help us. We've already filtered those out. Did I have some logic for that? So I think I basically said we need to get the largest cluster. Let's see here. All right, let me add, okay, fine. So that works. Also, I'd like to get sorry, well, let's say before this step. Before this step, I'd like to let's filter line clusters and did I have rules for this for myself? Let me think here. So we've already done the number of lines, distance between next line, starter, and a line too close to border, fail early for these metrics. Rotate while maintaining reference. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, that's all that is. We're doing the number of lines. No, don't think I'm going to do any of this for this check. What else did I have? I had that's merging. But I'd already established fine, let's just keep it simple and say also, before this step, let's filter and only keep the two largest clusters by area. Yeah, let's just do that. Because my thought is, you know, we could do something like, you know, this is the biggest area one. Sure, keep that. But then also only keep ones that have like the same width as it. But again, like if we're cut off on one side or the other, like we have to kind of keep both of them for now. So let's just go with the two largest. Even with, let's do dash K or dash S dash K new. Let's run the new test again. The new page test. So when we look at that, so we have this. If we kept the two largest by area, we would keep these two. There is a chance that we would have, you know, something in the background of the image be kept. But I can worry about that later. I don't think that's actually likely. No, why would I do that? Okay, so let's do cluster area. Okay, so we're doing cluster areas. Again, we're doing a for loop here. Why would we do, so we get the ith. Why do we need to do that? That seems stupid. All right, we're not going to be able to do this here. We're going to have to just let that be. Yeah, why aren't we just doing 4 cluster in clusters? We're pushing back the index so we know the area for each index. And then we just call sort. So we'll do keep two largest clusters. Yeah, we also need to sort them left to right. So if I do that, yeah, area index. So also, let's sort those two by left to right in terms of position in the image. I could probably just steal the code that I already had, but this is fine. I don't like that. That's dumb. Let's see, how was I doing before? So we keep the two largest. And we resized. Yeah, see, this is like a smarter way to do it. Here, let me borrow this. This code's smarter in my mind. Let's see here. So if we sort by, yeah, we did begin. Okay, well, it is somewhat of just like a formatting formality, but I do think that is more readable to write it this way. So that's the same logic. This was using like a cluster though, but it's fine. We can just use auto. AB dot first is bigger than. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, why can't we just do this? So we would do so that's clusters. Wait, that is sorting. We're sorting the cluster areas. first and second. Right, first is the first element in the array, second is the second element in the array. In the array. Okay. I mean, I can see why we would do this whole thing based on if size is greater than 2. Anyway, so here's the old logic. So, okay, so then... But we'd want to sort them left to right anyway. All right, fine. I didn't originally like it. I still don't. I kind of still don't like it, but we'll do it this way. I may come back and refactor this later. So now final clusters just has 2 elements. We can get rid of this. Yeah, it's hard to do that given the shape of them. I can't really use the old approach. But why can't we just then go sort them again? For line in... Yes, each line is... Here's how to sort the 2 clusters left to right. Could we... see... Yes, that's where I'm like, oh, couldn't we just combine these 2 methods? But this is basically saying sort them based on size so that we can remove them. Oh, but like, why can't we just do another sort here? Let me think here. So that's the 2 largest. God, my brain is fried here at the moment. This seems so dumb. Also, we already know that its size is 2. Well, okay. It might not be, right? There may only be 1. And that's this. We only do this if it's greater than 2. All right, fine. I'll accept this approach for now. Fine. Let's at least see if this works. I really just want... I was trying... At one point, I was trying to be efficient with my time and rush to just get this working. Let's just run the whole test suite and see what we get. We shouldn't get... We still might get 1 failure with a 0 score. But we should get like 3 decent scores now. With scores that are worse just because of cropping issues. There we are. Yeah, as expected. So now we have 98.7. So left and right got a better score. 98.7. Its time is very much faster. I wonder why that is. Angled got a 93.3. So its score went down a little bit. But again, its speed is also enormously faster. Huh. Wonder why that is. And then shaky 93.12 is a 90. Okay, so the scores are down. And that's why these two failed, because their scores dropped. But it works. I'm going to kill this here because we don't need it. And then this... Yeah, we don't need to rebuild the lines. Yeah, there could be an argument for, should we just compute the hulls and then once we have the hulls, then just get the areas of the hulls. Instead of doing all this. Again, I'm going to keep this for now, but I'm probably going to refactor this. So in theory, this is done. Return a list of holes. We do pick the best page. By shape only. Yeah, I could do that next. Okay, so these, in theory, are done. Confirm quality and performance. And that's kind of the step I'm on already. I do really much want to come back in and refactor all this, because this is a little bit sloppy. All these log statements also don't need to be here anymore. Do we use scale factor? It's a align image fast, which I don't scale down. Do I even use that? I wonder. Okay, so this doesn't get used. All right, so now we are doing grayscale. I could probably get rid of the old method as well. Let me think here. Let's get rid of that. Again, I got to go back through and make sure all this is right. Let's do that, and then tab that over. Two largest blocks should be roughly the same width. No, I'm not going to do that. I could do some of this stuff, but I don't think it's important enough. Again, I want to do performance on the new and the old method, but I think I could just deploy. So I guess this is what I'm going to do this afternoon. I'm probably going to finish streaming now. Grab some lunch. I will probably deploy to the headset and confirm that the new method is still reasonably fast on the headset with, you know, quality. Like, check to make sure the quality feels mostly right. In which case, then I can clean up some of this code. I can get rid of some of these things. I'll get rid of the get best page. Well, I'll refactor this and then probably rip out the old method, and I'll probably rewrite this post hull. I think, like, yeah, I mean, like, once we do, yeah, we're clustering again to merge clusters and loose lines. Once we've done that, to do, we only need hulls now. Might be faster to do hulls first and then final filtering. And then once that's done, yeah, let me fix some of the quality. I could probably, like, make some tweaks to cropping and things like that. Yeah, the hull. I think I'm computing the hull wrong too. Because the hull is based on the final cluster. Like, the hull should be on the mask. Now, see, that's true. Oh, it's because it's on the shape. Okay. It's on the box shape of that. So when we have the high skew, like, actually, we should see... Yeah, you see how it's, like, a little bit high here? That's because this box... Okay. I need to fix that. Compute hull on line mask shape and not bounding rect. That may even fix the scoring issue, the quality and scoring performance issue. And then also refactor to have hull compute sooner. Yeah, okay, let me fix that. So I'm going to redo how we do this. And instead of it being like the clusters is fine, I guess if we go off of... Yeah, it's almost like get me the mask within the clusters. All right. Anyway, I think I'm going to stop there. This is feeling really close. I think I am going to finish this up today. Like, get these steps where they are. Again, like, we're already close. Like, the scores are pretty good. I think if I do these things, I may actually get better scores. But I may have to make other tweaks. But I think I can get the scores back up. This is quite encouraging, the fact that this score is even higher. So I think I may be able to finish this effort with higher scores than we had before. The speed may even be faster. I mean, according to this, the speed's faster. I don't know why. I mean, I'm streaming right now, and maybe my CPU is in rare form. Maybe I cleared some memory or something. I don't know. But it's not normally this fast, so something's going right there, I guess. And then when I do a new PR with better chunking, that should greatly improve speed. And then I think we're in a whole new ball game. Then I can move on to the next thing. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me for those who did. Sorry for those on YouTube. But I guess you can watch it after. And I will likely stream on Monday. I think that's true, right? Yeah. I'll stream on Monday, and I'll see you then.